How you doing today? I've got a really interesting question from Sam, and it's a very open-ended question, which is kind of good and bad at the same time. It's bad because it's hard to be specific when there's an open-ended question, but it's good because I can kind of manipulate the question to where I want it to go. But Sam asked what I thought of the current fitness industry and the trend of online coaching, and then things like the Peloton and these kind of virtual reality kind of fitness things, and where I kind of see the fitness industry going in the near future. I'm here at a local park. It's a beautiful day here today, and hi Stash. And it's nice. There's actually some kids over there playing, which is a rare thing to see these days, which is kind of nice. But what do I think about the current trend in the fitness industry? And of course, with our modern technology, we've outsourced more and more things, and fitness is going to be no exception to that. But here's the thing. Here's the thing I want you to think about that most people don't really, the perspective that most people don't really think about this. Why is there a fitness industry? We have more people are gym members now, and more people are working out than ever before in history. If you look at like the 40s, the 50s, even the 60s, it wasn't trendy it was actually unfeminine for women to work out. Like Marilyn Monroe was one of the first women to actually kind of get into lifting weights. But you did not, if you look back at pictures, you did not see obese women, but they didn't exercise, they didn't work out like they do today. Yet we have 71% of the youth between ages 17 and 24 are unfit for military service. Fire departments, police departments around the country are having to change their admission standards because people just cannot pass the physicals. And so, and this isn't new. Like, this has repeated itself in history in the past. The Roman Empire, when they started conquering people and the riches came in and the families became more affluent, they started outsourcing, all sorts of things, including their military. And it was one of the reasons why they ended up, falling in the end. One of the many things they believe contributed to that. But if you think about how much the world has changed, even, in my short lifetime, I'm turning 45 in this upcoming year, and the difference between how things are now and when they were when I was growing up. When I was growing up, most of my buddies and I, we shoveled driveways for extra money. We mowed people's grass. We delivered newspapers. Most of us worked on a farm. A lot of people, had their own gardens. People walked a lot more. Today, when I was first growing up, like, you had Space Invaders was like it came out when I was in like the third grade, and you can only play Space Invaders for so long. Today you've got games that literally you've got all your friends on there, and so you're getting your social interaction through a device, and you've got these goggles now where you can go and create your own reality. There's much less left open to human imagination, and you just don't see kids outside being as active as they used to be. And trust me, if you had to, a lot of people haven't really had true wilderness experiences, but I've had times in my life where I've lived in the woods for months at a time. When you're having to gather your wood, you're having to go and find some of your food and prepare your food and do all these sort of things. Like, you don't need to exercise. It's hard work. And so we don't build our own houses anymore. We don't grow our own food. Everything's been outsourced. And we're kind of trying to make up for that with exercise. And if you think about the amount of time that people spend indoors or spend being inactive, it's no wonder that we really can't make up for that with what we'd call structured fitness. It's hard to make up for that low-level daily activity with just a couple, gym sessions a week. It really is a complete lifestyle. And so Yeah, there's online training now. There's things like the Peloton and things like that, and that's obviously that's going to take some gravity because people are looking for convenience. But as far as in the future, in the immediate future, I think that CrossFit kind of model. The dog isn't very happy about the other dog being here, but that's cool. There's this CrossFit model that kind of came into existence just as I was kind of starting out, and revolving around community. And if you're a gym owner, or if you're a coach or something like that, being able to create that community, and a lot of people are trying to do that online with forums and things as well. But I think as we get more and more into this technology thing, people are going to crave that community and that human interaction. And they're going to come to you for that community. And like there's these big box gyms now, and there's tons of competition. Whereas when I first started in this business in the late 90s, there wasn't that much competition, and now there is. So in order to set yourself aside from everyone else, is you're going to have to create a community that gives people that human interaction that is becoming rarer. And also you have to kind of take into account, because people don't live active lives, because people aren't mowing their own grass, they're not doing manual labor, most people are not doing construction jobs, they're sitting in a chair all day, your program is going to have to change. You're going to have to encourage your people to walk outside every day. You're going to have to, and this is something I'm probably going to end up doing, is having, hikes. You go out on a gym hike outside, get people outdoors. These are things that we're going to have to encourage people to do, to be more active every day, and encouraging people to get outside and to do more low-level activities so they can handle the intensity of training. Because I know, I spend a lot of time with a lot of kids, and a lot of the athletes that I have might be more highly skilled at their particular sport because they've played a specific sport at a younger age, and practiced more than a lot of the athletes when I started, or even when I was a kid. But the kids are not as durable and they're not as adaptable. And that's what you got to understand, is we are going to adapt to whatever environment we're put in. And so if your environment is you're spending, 8-9 hours a day sitting in a desk, and then you go home and then you're on your screen, your body's going to adapt to that, as opposed to spending, hours a day riding your bike or playing with your friends or doing those sort of things. It's very hard to make up for those years and hours of free play and just, going outside and goofing around with structured exercise. And so a lot of strength and conditioning programs are going to have to start, if you want to be successful, are going to have to start looking like a phys ed program, just to give people general fitness so they can do something more advanced. And it's almost going to be like an accountability thing, where, people are basically, coming to you to help keep them accountable and help keep them active. It's interesting. I think I've joked about, starting a farm and charging people to work on it. I think people are going to start to crave a more authentic human experience. I have a farm that I bought some property on, and then I also have a cabin that's near here, that about an hour and a half from here, that doesn't have any cell phone reception, and it has a landline, but that's about it. And it's interesting. I flipped through the guest book, and it's interesting because all these people repeatedly will say, "Man, please don't get Wi-Fi here. Please don't do that." I was so it was just so amazing not having a phone, and I think people are going to start to crave getting out in nature and doing those sort of things, and start craving that more authentic human experience. Even in, like, if you look at Silicon Valley, where they make all this technology. If you look up something called the Waldorf School in Silicon Valley, you cannot get your kid in the Waldorf school because it is booked full. And who is it booked full of? It's booked full of all the people in the tech industry are putting these kids in these traditional play-based schools that don't have tablets, that don't have technology, that don't have all these luxuries. You look at even Steve Jobs, he wouldn't let his kids play with tablets and technology. So I think you're going to start seeing people start going, hey, all this technology is great, but there might be some consequences we might look at. And even with the kids I work with today, the ones that will buy in and will go for walks outside every day, and then be careful about their phones at night and getting their lights off at night. They'll come back to me and they'll just be like, holy crap, I feel so much better just by doing these few simple things. So I think in time, you're going to see people are going to start to look and be like, maybe we need to manage this technology thing, and maybe we need to kind of slow it down a little bit and search out for a more authentic human life, and do things like this, like spending time out in the park and going for hikes and making time to do things with other people and make that effort to get more connected with nature as opposed to just going and spending more time inside. And that's a dilemma that I deal with, and balance that I have to find, because, I do teach people how to strength train indoors. And so structuring my life so I get more time like this. But it's an interesting question. And I think it's something that, we're going to have to evaluate as, our technology evolves and as we kind of go further down this path of outsourcing everything. And it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes. But it's an interesting question, and I'm curious to if you guys have any thoughts or feedback on this. But I honestly think that there's going to be a group of people that are going to say, even for myself, it's hard for me to put this damn thing down at times. And, I have to actively make choices so that I'm not a slave to my phone. And I think you're going to see people that are going to start observing what's going on around them and are going to be like, I really don't like where this is going. And they're going to start taking more control over themselves and looking at how this stuff's affecting their kids and their families, and are going to start looking for options and making choices to kind of simplify things and to kind of buck the system, so to speak, and to use the system instead of the system using you, because that's where this is kind of all going. You end up having the technology and the phone and all of that running your life for you, as opposed to you running it. And I know there's been times when I've left my phone somewhere and almost had a mini panic attack. And I used to think about, we would drive across the country with no cell phone, with just a road map, and think nothing of it. And then today you're like, oh man, I can't go anywhere without my phone, because, oh my God, what happens if I get in an accident, or, what happens if I miss a phone call or a text message? And I think it's going to be interesting to see in the next few years, because that's the thing about technology is it starts out kind of slow, and then it just spirals and rolls and rolls and rolls. But I don't think we're ever going to outgrow that need to connect with another human being. It's interesting. I saw an article the other day. There's some companies that are popping up where you just pay them, and some of the major cities, people will pay people to come over and just like cuddle with them on the couch. Interesting. But that brings up all sorts of moral dilemmas of, won't get into that, but people are actually, paying people just for human interaction. So if you're a gym owner or if you're a trainer, being able to provide people with a good interaction in a positive community is going to be what's going to set you apart from the competition. And then, integrating some of these other things like online coaching and all these other things to kind of help diversify your skill set, because there's a lot of people that are like, well, I'm just going to train all my clients online, and then I don't have to have a gym, and I don't have overhead and all that sort of thing. And there's a lot of people that can do that, but I don't think in the long run, like, at least for me, I don't think I could technically do that. There's a part of me that just really enjoys the in-person interaction, but to each their own, I guess. So there's a question for you that I answered, and I'll be back on probably tomorrow with another very interesting question that I think you will enjoy. So I hope you have a great day, and I hope you get some time outside today. Don't be a zoo animal.